So the 2025 Royal Rumble is in the books, and it delivered a night of thrilling surprises, significant returns. So here is a full breakdown of the match card, the results, what my thoughts are on it. Let's go. So we'll start with probably the most shocking surprise, I guess. The men's Royal Rumble, obviously, it was a stacked field. We had Cena, we had Roman, we had Seth, we had Punk. I mean, it was mental. And it was just about as unpredictable as we'd predicted, which is ironic. But, yeah, honestly, I am a bit disappointed in the sense of we didn't get too many surprises. I like Joe Hendry was in there, but that was kind of expected. Other than that, unless someone's slipping my mind, I'm not recalling anyone else being a massive shock in entering. But yeah, there was no legends. I will say that, in my opinion, the women's match in terms of surprises and whatnot was better. But I mean, the men's rumble did the ending. Oh my god, we came down to Jey Uso and John Cena. I didn't know what to feel. It's the GOAT, John Cena. For me, my personal childhood hero, and then Jey Uso, who I'm a massive fan of, think he should be a world champion. But here he is against John Cena. It was like nobody knew who to root for. Obviously, we all want Cena to get number 17. I think he does. But he has already declared he's going to be in the Rumble, in the Elimination Chamber. So it's still on. But one thing I will say is with Jey Uso winning the Rumble, I've seen a lot of people that aren't happy about it, and quite frankly, it's baffling to me because I don't understand how people can sit there and question Triple H's booking of Jey Uso because, look, the main argument I've seen is, but Jey Uso has already lost 3 times to Gunther. One, the IC Championship match, he should have won, but Jimmy cost him. He was literally half a second away from winning. Then, yeah, sure, he did lose to Gunther in a one-on-one match for the World Heavyweight title. Fair enough. And then Saturday night's main event, if you're counting that, I can't take it seriously because, let's be honest, we've had 2 Saturday night's main events now, and the only time a championship has actually been won is to crown the first women's United States champion. So, it's basically Saturday night's main event. It's a glorified house show, It is a contractual obligation to put these shows on. I don't think you can really count that. But look, in my opinion, the booking of Jey Uso has been so frustrating because he's so over, right? He's a top merch seller. The crowd is always joining in with his entrance. Super over. Yeet is over. Like, I don't understand how people sit there and question it and say that Jey doesn't deserve it. I think it is largely to do with the fact that it was John Cena that was in the final 2 with him. I feel like if it was anyone else, I don't think there'd have been as much backlash. But, yeah, I'm happy for Jey. I am a bit gutted for Cena. But at the same time, I did say we shouldn't make it as simple as John Cena enters, wins, and then goes on to win at WrestleMania, So I'm glad we're taking some swerves. We're putting obstacles in his way. Because realistically, if you think about it, right, I know that you're going to be annoyed that Cena didn't win and whatever, but if he'd have won, chances are he probably wouldn't have been in the Elimination Chamber. He may not have actually been on the Elimination Chamber at all. I know he's been advertised for it, so he might have done a promo, but he might not have been in a match, So, if anything, Jey Uso's done you a lot of favour. Up next, we will talk about the Rumble match. Obviously, this isn't out of order. This isn't in order, I should say. But yeah, the event kicked off with the Women's Rumble, where Charlotte Flair made her return after her injury. And long story short, Charlotte Flair won. One thing that I will say about this card is, I'm pretty sure all of my predictions were right, except for the men's Royal Rumble match. So, I mean, 3 out of 4 is not bad. And honestly, this is another thing that has baffled me about the fan reaction to this event. Because going into the Rumble, we obviously knew Charlotte was going to be there. We knew she was in the match. We knew she was cleared. Okay, which I don't have an issue with. I think the women's division does need that refresh. Obviously, Alexa Bliss coming back as well. But with Charlotte, it was so predictable. And it's annoying because as someone that is related to Ric Flair, she came in. I remember like early when she was on the main roster, she was saying how she didn't want her last name to impact her career, you know. And yet here we are in 2025, and that is exactly what's happening. At least from the outside looking in, that looks to be what's happening. Now, listen, I'm not down on the rumoured match of Charlotte Flair against Tiffany Stratton. I'm not down on the match itself. I'm just down on the fact that we may genuinely sacrifice Tiffany Stratton having a really lengthy run and entertaining run with the championship because Charlotte Flair's now come back, you know? So for that reason, I'm not thrilled that Charlotte Flair won because it does very much seem... I mean, look at the last time she made a big return, right? Or at least one of the last times. She came out on an episode of SmackDown after Ronda Rousey had just either defended her championship or just won a match, whatever. And she then comes down, gets a title match, and wins on the same night. Like, now listen, I'm glad that they did it in a sense because, you know, it's different in the sense of in terms of storyline, it's different. You know, it's a unique way of doing something like that. The SmackDown thing, by the way. But yeah, with her coming out at the Rumble, this very much does just seem like, oh, well, you're related to Ric Flair, so here you go, have another WrestleMania main event. You know, it just, to me, does feel like her last name is impacting her career now. And look, some people will say that, you know, that fair enough, she's related to Ric Flair. Like, people will be fine with it. But I know that I'm not alone in sharing the view of her coming in and then just getting championship opportunities. When you've got people like Zelina Vega, for example, whose fans are very passionate, by the way, Dakota Kai, which I know she's been unlucky with injuries, but again, her fan base are begging for her to actually be pushed and win a championship. And then you have someone like Charlotte Flair come back and win. It's honestly, if I was in that locker room, I wouldn't be happy at Charlotte coming back and instantly getting an opportunity because, yeah, she's a Flair. Yeah, she's done insane things in WWE and she's had a lot of success. But that still doesn't give you the right to come back and just be in the main event of WrestleMania because you're a Flair, you know? I mean, look at John Cena, for example, right? John Cena is actively trying to earn all of this. And look, the Rumble match is an earned WrestleMania main event, sure. But again, it's the fact that Charlotte has literally just come back and now she's already in the main event. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me personally, but at the same time, I'm not mad about it. I understand, like, Charlotte Flair is Charlotte Flair, you know. Then we've got probably the most brutal match we've seen in WWE for a while. The Undisputed Championship match, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes did retain. Sami Zayn did come out, didn't get involved, which I'm glad about. Although, I do think that the Sami Zayn story is about to get a lot more interesting, to be honest. But yeah, Cody Rhodes defended his Undisputed Championship against Kevin in a brutal ladder match. Both competitors delivered a hard-fought battle, but Rhodes managed to retain his title, solidifying his reign as champion. I'm trying to think back. Honestly, there's a lot of thoughts going on in my head right now about this event. So, yeah, I mean, notable spots. I mean, first off, the backdrop that Kevin took onto the actual, like, point of the ladder. Jesus Christ. I mean, we thought Drew's was bad at blooming Bad Blood, you know, when he missed a Claymore and landed on the steps. Kevin, I'm surprised he was able to even walk, to be honest. Then obviously as well, how the match finished with Cody giving Kevin a Alabama slam through a ladder, which I don't think we've ever seen done before. I also think, isn't this the first time Cody's busted out that move since coming back to WWE? I could be wrong on that. He might have done it before. But, yeah, really good match. I mean, it delivered, man. We've had weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of build. I mean, if you think about it, right, the build for Cody versus Kevin at the Rumble has literally been built since Bad Blood, which feels like years ago at this point. And it's absolutely delivered. You know, obviously we had the Bash in Berlin. They have had a trilogy now, haven't they? I forget about that because they did fight at Saturday Night's Main Event as well. So they fought at Bash in Berlin, which again feels like ages ago. Then Saturday Night's Main Event, and then obviously the Rumble last night. As trilogies go, is it up there with Punk and McIntyre? Probably not, but it was still a good feud, you know. I mean, you've got the pile driver back in WWE. We haven't seen a pile driver in however many years. It was a banned move for a reason. So now it means something again. But yeah, Cody retained. Obviously, the rumors being that it's Cody against Cena at WrestleMania. Which, to be honest, I don't know if I would do. I get it on a poster. Cody and Cena looks insane, and for the casuals, they're going to tune in because it's John Cena, it's Cody Rhodes. But yeah, it's face versus face. That is the only thing. And look, the rumors are that it is Cody and Cena. We kind of knew going into the Rumble that Cody would probably retain, because even months ago it was rumored to be Cody against The Rock. That is obviously then doesn't look possible. So now it's Cody and Cena. That was the new rumor. To be honest, I'm not down on the match. I think they will absolutely deliver a banger. And it does look like Jey's going to go after Gunther. So hopefully Jey Uso finally gets his moment. But then, yeah, Cody against Cena will be a great WrestleMania main event, if you ask me. Then we move on to probably it's probably the weakest link, which I feel like is unfair because it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't it wasn't awful, you know? It was good. It was just, I think the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation really harmed the potential of this match, because 2 out of 3 falls matches are always kind of predictable. You know, one team gets the first fall, then it gets leveled up at 1-1, and then the match actually starts. So yeah, it kind of just got harmed by the stipulation. It was cool to see a 2 out of 3 falls match, I guess. But yeah, DIY ended up retaining because the Street Profits got involved, which, to be honest, yesterday I did have a thought. Like, I was watching something before the Rumble, and I was like, we've not actually seen the Street Profits in a good few weeks, at least not that I can remember. So, like, where did they go? And then they turned up at the Rumble. Just going back to the actual Royal Rumble matches, obviously notable returns and appearances. AJ Styles, there were rumours that he was medically cleared. They didn't know, though. It was either he was going to miss it by, like, a week, or he was going to make the Rumble, effectively. So AJ Styles did come back. Alexa Bliss, who probably got the biggest pop of the night, as well as Nikki Bella and Trish Stratus in the Women's Rumble as well. Mental, to be honest. I completely forgot that I was sat there in the Women's Rumble. Obviously, we were all hoping for AJ Lee, alright? But even I knew, I think I said it in my predictions video, that I'm not expecting her, because just like CM Punk, I wasn't expecting CM Punk and then she turned up. Obviously this time I wasn't expecting her and she didn't turn up. Yeah, obviously Trish Stratus as well coming out was a nice surprise. Nikki Bella does seem to be around for a little bit of a run now. She did like a backstage interview talking about how she's got unfinished business with Charlotte and a couple of other people. Trish, I don't think is. I think that was very much a one-off thing. And then to go from all of those surprises to the men's one, and we got I Show Speed, which I made a TikTok the other day. Obviously, when Kai Cenat was on Raw, I made a TikTok saying that we don't want this in WWE. And to be honest, I kind of got flamed for it. Because the people apparently... Look, I understand, right? You're going to want to do and get involved Kai, Speed, you know, because they do bring numbers. And Speed's Royal Rumble clip got like 14 million, I think, on Speed's Instagram or something like that. So, yeah, sure, it's going to be 14 million views. But at the same time, Karrion Kross wasn't in the Rumble, you know? Karrion Kross, who has been, honestly, massively underrated, in my opinion, for so long. And then the whole Wyatt Six feud has kind of brought him out of his shell a little bit, in the sense of he's now doing these promos on like social media and whatever. He's interacting with fans. Like, Karrion Kross is kind of over now, you know? And yet he wasn't in the Rumble. None of the Wyatts were in the Rumble. You know, and look, to be honest, the Wyatts, I'm not surprised they weren't in the Rumble. It doesn't really fit the story arc right now. So that wasn't a big deal. But my point is, look, there was no NXT talent. The Women's Rumble was littered with NXT talent. And then the men's side, we don't get any. We didn't even get Trick. We didn't get Oba. We didn't get anyone from NXT, you know? Which was disappointing because, you know, and look, I don't have an issue with Joe Hendry being in. I think my main issue with the men's Rumble is the fact that I Show Speed was in it. And look, to be fair to him, right, I will give him his flowers. The bumps that he's taken in the 2 appearances he's made at WWE, mental. So look, I'll give him props. Fair play, like, you've done exactly what a celebrity should do. You didn't eliminate anyone, you didn't hit a move, and you got beat up and chucked out and reminded why you're not a wrestler. That's exactly what I want from celebrity appearances. Now, obviously, I know people would say that and then be like, okay, but why didn't Logan do that? Logan's different. He has actually dedicated his life to this. Plus, people forget, he was an amateur wrestler. That is like how a lot of wrestlers become professional wrestlers in WWE and all of that. But overall, Royal Rumble event, very good event. I'd say it was probably the best Rumble we've had in the last few years. Again, a little bit disappointing that we didn't get some of the returns we might have wanted. Becky Lynch as well was a strange one. I don't know where Becky is or what's happening with Becky. She's in all of this promotional material. She was in promotions for the Rumble, for Raw on Netflix, for blooming 2K. You know, she's in 2K and all of this, and yeah, she wasn't in the Rumble. Jade wasn't in the Rumble either. Like, there are things about this Royal Rumble that I'm like, okay, so what's happening then? Because, you know, it's Royal Rumble. It's the kind of the match for returns, you know? Overall, definitely one of the best Rumbles we've had in the last couple of years, I would argue. And yeah, I think out of 10, I'm going to go with an 8.5. Again, there was a few things that have brought the ratings down. I honestly could have easily been at a 9. But that's just me. Obviously, with Speed being in there, that's taken at least 1 point off. And then also the lack of NXT talent or surprises in the men's Rumble. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button for me. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's very much appreciated. And I'll see you in the next one.